The amended complaint includes allegations that DHL has surveilled workers discussing the union off the job site and interfered with efforts by DHL ramp and tug workers to unionize.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Last Week in Southern Labor is a segment that we do every single week where we talk about what workers in the U.S. South and her colonies were up to. This week, ending on Friday, November the 3rd. In new election filings, we had 1,223 workers at Mancall's office cleaning service in Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, filed for a union election with the Service Employees International Union, SEIU Local 1996. An additional 1,840 more maintenance workers, these with experts in San Juan, Puerto Rico, also filed for a union election with SEIU Local 1996. That's going to be a big win when SEIU puts those W's up on the board. 11 workers for video marketing company Whiteboard Geeks in Chesterfield, Virginia, filed for a union election with the International Alliance of Theatrical and Stage Employees, IATSE Local 839, the Animation Guild of IATSE. 41 workers at Right of Virginia, a traffic control company in Verona, Virginia, filed for a union election with the Laborers International Union of North America, LIUNA, Local 202. 20 workers at Starbucks in Durham, North Carolina, filed for a union election with Starbucks Workers United. 18 workers at Royals Hot Chicken in Louisville, Kentucky, filed for a union election with the United Food and Commercial Workers, UFCW, Local 227. 20 workers at Dr. Pepper Keurig in Knoxville, Tennessee, filed for a union election with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Local 519. We had 2 election withdrawals last week. The General Drivers, Warehousemen, and Helpers Local Union Number 89, a Teamsters affiliate, withdrew their interest in representing the 46 workers at UPS Centennial Hub in Louisville, Kentucky, after initially showing majority support for the union. And the Teamsters Local 988 withdrew their petition for a union election to represent the 12 staffers at SEIU Texas in Houston, Texas. I tweeted about this yesterday because it seemed fishy to me, withdrawing a petition for a union election for union staff. Typically when something like that happens, that is the result of management retaliation. But this story had a much better end. It was withdrawn because SEIU Texas reached a voluntary recognition agreement with the staffers. So they are now officially represented by the Teamsters Local 988. In election results, we had 20 workers at Starbucks in Farmers Branch, Texas, voting in favor of unionization with Starbucks Workers United 14-2. 17 workers at Rare Bird Coffee Roasters in Falls Church, Virginia, voted in favor of unionization with SEIU's Mid-Atlantic Joint Board 11-4. 4 workers at Panelmatic St. Louis in Earth City, Missouri, voted in favor of unionization with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, Local 3-1. 213 workers at Phoenix Paper Wycliffe in Wycliffe, Kentucky, voted against unionization with the United Steelworkers International Union, USW, 57-146. That is not a good result. 45 workers at Transdev in Lorton, Virginia, voted in favor of ousting their old union, the Office and Professional Employees International Union, OPEIU, in favor of a new independent union, the Independent Supervisors Union. 20 votes for the independent union, 2 votes for OPEIU, and 1 vote for no union at all. When we announced this filing, friend of the show Chris Townsend sent us some background information, and apparently this is a small unit that really should be part of the Amalgamated Transit Union, which represents hundreds of other Transdev employees. But at the time that these workers wanted to unionize, ATIU didn't want to organize them, so OPEIU did. But since they are a smaller unit, Transdev would try to pick them off and get the OPEIU unit to accept a concessionary contract and try to force the Amalgamated Transit Union into a similar agreement. And so now OPEIU has been raided multiple times in this shop with backing from company attorneys, and Chris had been able to help OPEIU stave off a raid in the past. But with Chris out of the picture at ATU, no longer in an official role there, and not having been asked for support, this new independent union won the election, and Chris suspects foul play from the company. A lot of drama for a small unit of workers, but we'll keep y'all updated as we know more. And for everyone else, Chris asked us to send along this message. Don't get decertified. Call Chris Townsend today.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Settlements, grievances, and unfair labor practices. The National Labor Relations Board General Counsel is prosecuting DHL for unfair labor practice charges after completing an independent investigation prompted by the Teamsters International Union. The amended complaint includes allegations that DHL has surveilled workers discussing the union off the job site and interfered with efforts by DHL ramp and tug workers to unionize. Despite this interference, the ramp and tug workers voted overwhelmingly in April to join Teamsters Local 100. Other allegations include punishing and firing workers for engaging in union activity. A trial before a federal administrative law judge is set for November the 7th. The Machinists Union put out a message from their general counsel, Laura Ewan, about a recent Supreme Court ruling on religious accommodations. The message from the general counsel stems from the Supreme Court case stems from a letter carrier who was denied Sundays off, an accommodation that he requested for his religious practices. Previously, under the law, employers were able to deny religious accommodations if they created more than a, quote, de minimis hardship, which is obviously sounds like a low bar. And the Supreme Court in this case ruled unanimously that this bar was too low and that employers will now have to accommodate religious employees unless they could prove an undue hardship. Crucially, as Ewan points out, the court specifically stated that employers and unions did not have to ignore seniority rights when making these accommodations. So this sounds good all around to me. More accommodations for religious employees and more freedom from the job. Strikes and bargaining updates. First student bus operators who work for Buchanan County Schools in Missouri and represented by the Teamsters Local 955 voted unanimously to ratify their first supplemental agreement. The agreement includes 44% wage increases over 3-year life of the contract, employer contributions to a 401k, monthly attendance bonuses, improved safety protections, and the elimination of a 2-tier wage scale. 160 members of Teamsters Local 728 in Atlanta, Georgia ratified a new contract with Republic Services that won wage increases, improved paid time off policies, and the recognition of Juneteenth as a paid holiday. The staff of the country's largest union, the National Education Association, has released the results of a strike authorization vote, revealing 100% support for a strike if necessary. This comes after the workers, the members of the Association of Field Service Employees, AFSE, have reportedly been working for the National Education Association without a contract since 1 June 2023. Arby's workers in Kansas, Missouri marched on the boss and delivered a petition signed by a majority of the workers there calling for better pay, benefits, and working conditions, including a $5 an hour wage increase and paid time off and parental leave. They were accompanied by Missouri House Representative Eric Woods and others. They have given the company a 2-week deadline to respond. The workers are organizing with the Missouri Workers Center. And Memphis soy protein production workers with BCTGM Local 390G have been on strike since June. And like I said, next week we're going to be doing a 32-hour live stream to raise money for them. The UAW has a tentative agreement at each of the big 3 automakers with huge gains, including a 25% general wage increase over the life of the contract, ending tiers, bringing back COLA, and getting Stellantis to reopen a closed plant. That's what I call a job creator, folks, and that was the union, not the company. There's a lot more, but this is big news that is already having ramifications across the country and the industry, including right here in Alabama, where non-union Toyota announced immediate raises of 9.2% and a cut in the progression from 8 years to 4 years, immediately after the UAW announced their contracts. These are big improvements, and non-union workers who want to get the rest of the gains that UAW members saw should unionize. 4,000 UAW members at Mack Trucks continue their strike, and as do Shangri-La dispensary workers with UFCW Local 655 in Columbia, Missouri, and Three Brothers Coffee workers with UFCW Local 1995 in Nashville. In policy, politics, and legislation, the Teamsters International Union has invited all declared presidential candidates to attend a town hall with rank-and-file members. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it will be televised. After Alabama kicked 22,000 people off of Medicaid in June, they kicked off another 28,000 in July, new data shows. Atmore News publisher and co-owner Sherry Digman and Don Fletcher, a reporter at the outlet, were arrested last week for allegedly printing grand jury secrets stemming from an Escambia County District Attorney's Office investigation into federal COVID-19 funds that were possibly improperly paid to 7 former Escambia County school system employees. Jimmy Williams, General President of the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, released a statement on Twitter regarding the situation in Gaza and Israel, saying, in part, a conflict of this magnitude cannot be fixed by bombs and bullets. The IUPAT is proud to join the labor movement across the globe in calling for an immediate end to hostilities and de-escalation of tensions across the region. International Paper will permanently close its containerboard mill in Orange, Texas. It will also permanently end production at 2 of its pulp machines, the number 20 machine in Riegelwood, North Carolina, and the number 4 machine in Pensacola, Florida. This will reduce production by 1.2 million tons annually and will result in 900 United Steelworkers jobs being lost. In internal union affairs, Olympia, Washington-based Thurston Lewis Mason Central Labor Council voted unanimously to pass a resolution stating that the Labor Council, quote, opposes in principle any union involvement in the production or transportation of weapons destined for Israel, and encouraged the National AFL-CIO to, quote, publicly support an immediate ceasefire and equal rights for Palestinians and Israelis. The National AFL-CIO rebuked the council and sent a note to all principal and secondary officers of state federations and labor councils, pointing to the policy that states that only the National Federation has the authority to create positions on issues of national or international importance. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.